Mike made it clear he's attracted to her. Mike wanted to get in bed, sleep with her. He was open about all of it. He didn't press it all the time. Most beautiful women actually are more likely to get into relationships and hook up with men that they are friends with. You guys like my first video on Mike, Majlak, and Lana Rhoades so much that I'm gonna do a part 2. Let's get started.
He's not my type whatsoever. I would never be interested. And I thought that for a while, but he just kept being like very persistent, texting me every morning, like good morning, being really sweet, asking me to hang out. And honestly, most of the time I would be like, no, sorry, I'm busy with work. I can't hang out. And so I would like just sort of like keep him to the side. One of you said just like being respectful, not trying to hook up with the girl. So whenever I would hang out with him and we would have sleepovers, I'd be like, just so you know, we're not having sex. And he'd be like, oh, that's fine. And so that made me feel more comfortable, like to keep hanging out. And then eventually I just sort of saw his internal qualities, like the fact that he's very intelligent, he's very funny.
She's saying a lot of huge stuff right now. First off, when they first met and when they first got together and when Logan did that whole video, it was obvious that Mike and Lana, when they were hanging out, it was just more for the camera. They were having fun, but it looked like Mike was a little shy. He was obviously being himself and having fun, but it didn't seem like they were really able to get to know each other. I mean, I didn't see everything that happened, but it looks like they went to the nightclub. You really can't connect with somebody there. And I want you guys to understand, yeah, Lana Rhoades, she's one of the most, I don't know, like beloved women on the internet right now. Guys get into this headspace that, oh, beautiful women, they need guys that act like this, and beautiful guys, they need women like this, and whatever it is. And it's usually untrue. It's just a narrative that people are feeding you to make you want to act like a certain way. And in fact, that actually fucks you up for your relationships and meeting people and just dating and hooking up in general. I was fed that in my teens and my early 20s. I thought I had to act a certain way. I had to act alpha. I had to be the man. I had to be cool, whatever the hell it was. And it just made me act so fucking stupid around women. I didn't know how to be myself. The second I was around somebody I was attracted to, I turned myself off and went into somebody else. I even remember going to the bar and going, I still feel like there's 1% of me that's not fully there. I had trained myself so much to not be myself and to be this cool guy that I thought women wanted, that it was so hard to even get rid of that 1% saran wrap that was still not me. Now that I know shit, I know that women don't care about that stuff at all. They want somebody that just treats them normal, right? Now, here's the big difference, and this is what I say in all of my videos. She's not saying that Mike friend-zoned himself. There's a difference between friend-zoning yourself and what Mike and Lana did. Mike made it clear he's attracted to her. Mike wanted to get in bed, sleep with her. He was open about all of it. It's just that he didn't press it all the time. And especially with somebody like Lana, whose job it was to have sex like that and to go into scenarios like that. And I'm sure a lot of men were always pressuring her. I'm sure it was a breath of fresh air to not have an experience like that, not have a dynamic like that. And that's why most beautiful women actually are more likely to get into relationships and hook up with men that they are friends with, because they are so used to getting pressured by everybody that when they hang out with a friend that they get to know and it's really casual and relaxed and there's no pressure, even though that guy is showing his attraction, is showing what he's interested in doing, he says, I don't need it. Don't worry. I just like hanging out with you. I just like spending time with you, even though I am attracted to you. That makes it so much more easy for women to make that choice.
I initially thought that he was lacking started to be made up by those other things. So just like I would say, being persistent, being respectful. Another thing just with other people that I've noticed, if a guy is just being like overly like supportive and nice and like, you know, just putting me on in a way that, you know, someone else isn't giving me, like, you know, hyping me
That's
up.
sexy. Like,
Yeah.
so they're like your number one fan.
That makes me want, like, be like, oh damn, maybe I could like them.
In the first video, I was very clear in stating that Mike and Lana, their personalities connect well, their lifestyles connect well. This is not to say you just make friends with women or you make friends with men and you show your attraction to them and everything will be hunky-dory. You guys need to share the same values. You guys need to share similar lifestyle and interests for that chemistry, for that compatibility, for that attraction to actually happen and build. Now, sometimes this happens immediately. Sometimes it happens in a day or a week. Sometimes it'll happen in a month or two. Your job is not to press that. Your job is to merely allow that situation to happen the way it will by being your full self, allowing that person, welcoming and encouraging that person to be their full self, showing your attraction, seeing where it goes and if it does happen or not. Now, if you make a lot of friends with people, you are naturally going to get into relationships with people. And if you don't want to just get into a relationship, if you just want to hook up, you'll naturally do that too. Doesn't get any simpler than that.
So I have to say, like, this is probably the first trip that we went on where we didn't even get an argument, which is amazing for us. I feel like for once we're finally starting to like figure out how to like resolve situations instead of escalating them and turning into like fights and arguments.
People that do have lower emotional intelligence have maybe been in scenarios in their upbringing or with their friends growing up where they have dealt with a lot of fighting, basically. It's easy to get into a real committed relationship and have that same thing happen, especially if you've been in past relationships where it's happened already. You get used to it and you think that's actually how relationships work. When I was growing up in the 90s, literally in the 80s, everyone fought. It was in all the movies, it was in all the TV shows. Everyone was in fights with each other in relationships. So I thought, that's just how relationships are. That's what you're supposed to do. I didn't realize that it was just, it's just boomers are not really good with relationships. They all got married at like 18 years old. They really don't have experience with that type of stuff. Their parents got married at like 16 years old or something. So nobody really had a lot of experience with relationships and managing emotions back then. So now, we have millennials, we have Gen Xers, Gen Zers, whatever, and they are more emotionally mature because they were brought up a little bit better. This is all my speculation. This is all my hypothesizing. We're a little bit better at it, I think, but still not always the best. And so I think this generation, our generations, are the ones that are kind of the transition period of learning to be better in relationships. I think in 20, 30 years, relationships are going to be a lot healthier than they were 20, 30 years ago.
Whenever things are like good with him, they're like really good. Like we'll be having coffee and I'll just look at him and I'll be like, oh my God, I love this person so much. Like he's so beautiful. He's an angel fallen from the sky.
Oh my God, I
and
cannot
then we'll
relate.
get in a fight and it's just like, you just feel so differently in like the moment. And it's just so crazy how it can be so up and down.
So this is what I'm talking about. A lot of people don't notice those moments where it's going up. The emotions are going up. Our egos are getting inflamed. Notice those moments and catch yourself. Stop, take a step back and start getting rational and start realizing where this could go and if it's actually worth it to engage in an angry type of thing with each other. This is a practice. This is a skill.
My relationship is over. I'm no longer dating Lana. We broke up. It's not like the other breakups that we've had. We are not talking. I have her blocked across the board. We're not speaking to each other.
Interesting. It just seems like their relationship has had so many ups and downs that they are just not able to handle it. The good thing about this, they probably weren't realizing that they could find somebody that they could love at this level. And that's probably one good thing that they took from this relationship. Another one, I think, is they have learned how to deal with hard situations where two people cannot agree with each other. They've learned how to get better at arguments, how to not get into them so quickly. But unfortunately, these two were not able to perfect that.
Somebody said because you didn't want to get married. No, that's not really it. Listen, there's a lot at play. It's never as easy as just explaining it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know y'all will try to figure it out and try to come up with like these really easy answers as to why that happened. But somebody said who broke up with who. I mean, it's just really not like that. It's like two people realizing that it's just not the right thing. And it's actually the best outcome. You know what I'm saying? Like, without, something fucking crazy toxic happening.
I think that they have really great compatibility. I think they have a lot of chemistry with each other, but the inability to manage their issues with each other, the inability to manage the fights, disagreements, I think is the big problem that just made them decide that this is not working. I wish them the best, and I hope that in the future they'll be able to, like I said, learn from their experiences in the past and hopefully be able to manage those issues better in new relationships.
Yo, I seen you fucking asking for this chick's IG. What the fuck are you doing? This is cheating. This is cheating. Flipping out.
Is it?
Text me and I said, listen, I didn't think about that. Now that the shoe's on the other foot, I think about the idea of you twerking on Rice Gum's dick in this video game and hearing your voice like, yeah, Rice, you like that fat ass on your cock? Maybe I wouldn't like that so much. I apologize. I'm sorry. How can I make this right? Shoot her in the fucking face.
Was it because of the GTA issue? I think the GTA issue was just a sign of something bigger, but I don't think that was the thing that made them break up. And I don't think that was exactly one of the huge things that added to their breakup. I think it was just a sign of something. And I'm just speculating here. I know nothing about their relationship, but let's just hypothesize here. This is how usually relationships end. It's because both parties are not conscientious of how that other person might feel about the actions that they take. If that happens over and over and over, despite trying to work on it, that is going to be usually the reason why two people will break up.